Hello and welcome. Today we will talk about Starbucks' social responsibility and their overall strategy for enhancing their Starbucks brand. I know that many of you will likely have very strong opinions regarding Starbucks because they seem to be all over the world, and some of you like their coffee and their prices. Some of you disagree with their practices around the globe. But nonetheless, obviously, they are a successful company and they have done many good things around the world. So the case requires some reflection from all of us. Some of you might be committed patrons who view Starbucks as a socially responsible company that is committed to green practices and free trade coffee. And others might dislike Starbucks because it is a large chain that pushes out sometimes small local competitors. Another possible reason that some of you may be opposed to Starbucks are their prices, which are very high at times that many people cannot afford, at least compared to their competitors. Starbucks seems to be able to justify their high prices because the company sells more than just coffee. It sells an experience. Their patrons can order specialty drinks and hang out in what the founder Howard Schultz envisioned to be the third place, to be after home and work. Love it or hate it, Starbucks has been very successful at branding around the globe, and they have been expanding successfully, obviously, throughout the world. Starbucks has had a profound influence on the U.S. coffee market. Before Starbucks came into the scene, people perceived coffee as an uninteresting product largely consumed by older people in the United States. However, it did not have the cool factor or the cachet that it does today. Starbucks' entry in the market largely changed how Americans consume coffee and what they thought about coffee shops. It all started in the cold, gray climate of Seattle, the perfect setting for launching an appealing, warm, and international beverage. Starbucks emphasized quality while service and location became a critical issue for them. In spite of its popularity, the company faltered during the most recent recession when many customers cut back on discretionary purchases. So this prompted the return of the founder, Howard Schultz, as the chief executive officer. CEO Howard Schultz implemented a restructuring process at Starbucks and closed hundreds of their stores. He sought a return to the value that initially made the company a great one: quality. Today, Starbucks is thriving and expanding internationally. As a matter of fact, over the past few years, I've seen many of them in Vietnam for the first time. So they have a lot of competition in Vietnam, but nonetheless, they've been doing fairly well so far. No matter what a person thinks of Starbucks, it is more involved in social causes, in the care of its workers, than many comparable chains around the globe. Starbucks is committed to employee well-being, as one can see in its employee healthcare systems. Schultz made employee healthcare a priority after watching his father struggle with injuries because he had no access to employee healthcare or workers' compensation. The company also has a history of giving to charities that affect its primary stakeholders. As part of its commitment to ethics and sustainability, Starbucks invests in programs for farmers across the world, including providing small loans to farming families. The company is actually a large purchaser of fair trade certified coffee and has partnered with Conservation International since 1998 to promote sustainable agricultural practices. In spite of its professed commitment to caring for workers and for social causes, such a large company will always be subject to some criticism. From complaints that Starbucks pushes smaller competitors out of markets to criticism that it failed to pay taxes in the United Kingdom for 14 out of 15 years that they were operating there, the company is facing many challenges on a regular basis, like most other companies. The question becomes in how they respond and handle those challenges. For instance, disposable cups pose a problem as Starbucks strives to become more eco-friendly, and personal tumblers have not become as popular among patrons as Starbucks had hoped. And Starbucks is not necessarily a stranger to political controversy, since they announced that they would hire over 10,000 refugees over a 5-year period after President Donald Trump instituted a travel ban on 7 majority Muslim nations. As a matter of fact, CEO Howard Schultz also was a candidate for presidency in order to defeat Donald Trump. So I believe he's still supporting others who are trying to defeat Donald Trump, but he did become a candidate, and he chose to suspend his campaign since he thought others were perhaps more qualified for the time being. In light of the weaknesses that you see with a company, I do ask you to reflect on whether Starbucks deserves the image that they have and the image of a socially responsible company. Over the past few years, Starbucks has had their challenges as well. One of the famous ones is during April of 2018, when 2 African American men were waiting for their friend. However, one of the employees called the police because these 2 customers did not buy anything. So when the police arrived, they were arrested. Consequently, Starbucks workers take part in emotional training to avoid racial bias. If you would like to do some more research, I would recommend you read some journal articles that have been published recently. As a matter of fact, here is one of the articles that my students researched, and we published it together. So this article that you see on the screen here is from my students who did some research about the company's diversity, and it was published in the International Journal of Learning and Development during 2014. You can see here on the right, that is the reference for the journal. It was volume 4, issue number 3, pages 35 to 49. And you see the title of the journal, you see the title of the article, and the author's last names with first initials. And obviously you see myself here as the last author, since this was initiated by a group of my students at the university. This article basically talks about managing diverse employees at Starbucks, focusing on ethics and inclusion. So you can see a little bit more about what the article says, what it concludes, and what the recommendations are. As a summary, let us go ahead and talk a little bit more about some of the questions and possible answers to these questions. Why do you think Starbucks has been so concerned with social responsibility in its overall corporate strategy? Well, it should be obvious from examining the history of the company that CEO Schultz, which was also the founder, was very concerned with social responsibility from the outset when starting the company. Because he made it an original core value of the company, it has remained a deeply ingrained part of their culture. Starbucks also recognizes the benefits of customers perceiving the company as a socially responsible firm or organization. Employees who receive healthcare are likely more satisfied because they feel that the company truly cares for them in a time when many organizations are scaling back on the benefits that they offer to their employees. Consumers may also be inclined to like the company because of its many community and environmental initiatives. So as a result, social responsibility for Starbucks is translating into good results. So if you do good, eventually others do good for you. In other words, we see a mirror of what we do given back to us. I know that you understand that while Starbucks does provide very good benefits to most of its workers, this is not exactly unique to their company. So it's okay to be saying good things about Starbucks, but it's also true that many comparable sized chains do not treat their workers as well as Starbucks. For instance, many chains do not provide any benefits to part-time workers. However, other companies also have a mission of providing for their workers, treating them well, taking care of them. However, not everyone obviously does it as well as companies like Starbucks or others who go above and beyond. Some examples are Green Mountain Coffee, Google, Wegman, Whole Foods, Timberland, and the Container Store, which are also seen as socially responsible by offering good benefits for their employees. Do you think that Starbucks has grown rapidly because of their ethical and social responsibility activities, or because it provides products in an environment that customers want? Of course, your views and my views to this question might vary to some extent, and we can debate that in a workshop or in a team environment. However, let us say that if Starbucks had a poor record in its activities, it would suffer from diminished reputation, which could lead to lower profits and reduced customer loyalty. However, many customers likely go to Starbucks not because of their social mission, but because they like the coffee or the coffee shop atmosphere overall. So the ambience does make a difference. Many customers likely begin frequenting Starbucks because the locations are convenient and they continue to go as long as the company remains a readily available option. On the other hand, its record and responsibility has been a major selling point for consumers who care where products come from and under what conditions. These people may choose Starbucks because they offer fair trade coffee and organic snack products when other local coffee shops do not. Some people probably will agree that at least to a point, the company's responsible activities have become a part of the total Starbucks product, a product for which many are willing to pay a premium price. In order to do a little bit more research and form your own opinions based on critical analysis and critical thinking, these are some additional references that you can look into, or obviously go to their company website and see what information they have about their social responsibility initiatives in taking care of farmers in today's environment. As always, remember, ethical behavior is a skill. So we need to police, evaluate, and improve our own ethical muscles by critically analyzing every single company, what they do, and how they do it, because their actions have an impact on the communities where you and I live. Good luck.